Hello YouTube. This is a video analysis of the chess game featured in the 11th episode of the third season of the anime Classroom of the Elite. This chess game has been on my radar for a while now, given that the opening of the season has predominant chess imagery, as well as my knowledge of the light novels, with me binging recap videos of the LNs because I didn't feel like reading, like Sue Me. In any case, despite not being perfect, I believe that this chess game can show some story elements, whether intentionally or not. So allow me to break down the game to the best of my ability as a casual intermediate chess player. My qualifications to cover the chess to y'all comes from about 2 years of constant study during the beginning of 2021. With obsessive practicing during class, and through me of my teammates' results through my local high school chess team, we were able to attend a prestigious chess tournament and punch above our ratings. The two chess openings featured in this game I have experience in with very similar openings, and that allows me to have a deeper understanding than most intermediate players, given the offbeat nature of the openings. I am also experienced in teaching newer players openings and middle game strategies, which is what this game focuses on. While admittedly I have not touched chess in a while playing on the toilet I can still constantly play at an intermediate level according to the chess.com rating estimation thingy majiggy whatever. And now, the chess. Before the start of the chess game, the anime tells us that the main character, Ayano Koji, teaches the player, Harikata, how to play chess for about a week, while her opponent, Hashimoto, has practiced for months beforehand. Assuming that Ayano Koji, the coach, knew that Hashimoto had been playing for months beforehand, we can assume that he prepared Harikata with the Nimzovich Larsen attack opening, which is a relatively offbeat opening whose first move is the seventh most popular and is played about 1 to 2% of the time, according to the Lichess database. On Masters, it is about 6th place, and on the Lichess database, it is about 7th. Because Hashimoto is an intermediate player, he is likely familiar with openings, yet not studied in every single minute offbeat opening, which is why I believe Anakoji picked Harigata the B3 Nimzo Larsen opening. Defined by its first move, the Nimzo Larsen attack moves the b pawn up once in order to have a space for the dark squared bishop on the long dark square diagonal. This is a very similar opening to what I play on the black side, which is the King's Indian defense. Although I do not wish for this video to become an opening analysis video, which can run very deep, I have the experience to say that this bishop in this position, facing the king side, um, can be especially aggressive and dangerous for black. And this sharpness in the position, I think, speaks to the likes of a character like Harikata and the intelligence and sharpness she possesses, especially in how Ayanokoji perceives her, as he recommends this opening. For her opponent, Hashimoto's move, he played c5, the so-called English variation, due to its similarities to the white opening of the same name, which I also play. It hopes to pressure the dark square diagonal, um, in contrast to white's hopes for the dark square diagonal. And this is a very sharp response to the sharp opening. And I think this aggressiveness in the position speaks to how important this chess game is to the plot of Classroom of the Elite. And it makes for very good storytelling when we have a very dynamic position like this. The next two moves, of course, build on the last two with nothing really special. Harikata plays bishop to b2, a direct continuation of the idea of the first move, oh, and Hashimoto plays d5, a very standard next step in the c5 plan that hopes to take up maximum space on the queen side center. And this is very similar to a Queen's Gambit-esque position that is usually played by whites. And this would then thus be a Queen's Indian sort of defense if the sides were switched. And so this is a very dynamic and open position that the board is in currently. The next move in the sequence that we see is Harikata's d3. And I find it a very strange move, and I believe it illustrates Harikata's newbiness to the game. A more advanced concept, not first taught to beginners, is this idea of square complexes. And so, in short, you usually do not want all of your pawns on the same colored square. For example, these are all light squared pawns, because this leaves the color of the opposite color weakened, as pawns can only attack diagonally and thus on the same color. This would normally not be an issue to more beginners players. However, as you can see on the eval, this is negative zero point 0.5. And so this is due to many ideas, such as later opening up this bishop, this queen, that can all attack on this king with this now exposed diagonal. Of course, the knight can come in to protect. However, this opening is not needed currently, and that's why I think this speaks to Horikita's newbiness. Unfortunately, before even a minute of the game has passed within the show, the accuracy of the portrayal of chess in the anime that it features in the beginning of every episode takes a nosedive, and the next scene that we see is practically impossible to occur in a real game. All because of this light squared bishop we see at b5. Because of this previous move we just saw, uh, d3, there's no real way for this bishop to get into this position in time for Hyuga to develop all of her pieces and Hashimoto to develop these three pieces. In short, from the bishop right here, it has to go here, 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 moving this pawn up to make space. And ultimately, even though we see this in the anime, this is not possible within the time allotted with these moves from black. So, uh, not my favorites happenstance to have happened, but we have to roll with it. And fortunately, we can still analyze the game. Currently, it seems to be negative zero point 0.1, just about even. And so, yeah, we're gonna have to deal with this phantom bishop of sorts. Only seen with a move list shown later in the episode, we can see that the seventh move Horigata makes, trust it's seventh, is also d3, which don't trust, because it doesn't really make sense for the third move to be seventh, and the seventh to be d3. However, just roll with it. Um, because Hajimoto then castles his king, and which is a special move that allows for the king to be in a safer position and allows for the rook to be in a more open position. This is a fundamental move in chess, and Horikita then develops her b knight to d2. A suboptimal move, as you can see in the eval, negative 1.4 from just about even. Um, Why I believe that it's not a bad move for beginners to make is that it sticks to the fundamentals of chess, especially in the opening, to move your pieces more towards the center, and while avoiding this square as it's in line of the bishop. I believe that this is a good move, even despite computers saying otherwise. Chances are they're not going to be playing like computers, like most beginners. And so that's my thoughts of this move so far. As explained before, Hashimoto developed rook to e8, and while this is an advantage of castling, it is done too early in this case. As you can see, eval drops from black to whites. This is because there are many moves that can be made um, to create maximum advantage. For example, this bishop can be developed, this pawn can be moved up, and so this rook to e8 is suboptimal um, at this present point. Later, this move can be more useful, in fact, very useful. However, as of right now, there are more pressing matters in the position, such as fighting for the center pieces. Horikita keeps good form, however, with a move e4, a powerful move that strikes at the center of the board with a protected pawn. And this is a very interesting position so far, very above beginner, I should say, which should be expected as these are supposed to be very smart people playing the game. And so far I like it, other than the Phantom Bishop. It is here at about 40 minutes into the 2-hour game. Hirukata and Hashimoto have about 43 and 41 minutes respectively. We can now see this board in the anime, well, not this board, but this board with E5. And to be frank, I wouldn't feel like watching 40 minutes of about like 10 moves happening either, so I'll give them the pass on skipping a lot of the time. But given the liberal use of like CGI in these scenes, I doubt the animators would have much of a problem in making 40 minutes of chess. But I digress. In any case, I would say that the middle game begins at this point, where we see ample development from both sides and more of a fight for bigger ideas rather than just developing. This move E5 takes up a lot of space in the center with these pawns, especially with these knights and this bishop, this rook. There's a lot of tension in the center right now, and especially when playing against a more hyper-modern opening, one which does not emphasize pawns but pieces moving towards the center. Against these type of openings, taking up as much of the center as possible is natural and it makes sense. Uh, the knight takes d5. Sorry, not knight takes d5. E takes d5 by Hirgita is the only really normal idea to like minimize these center pawns. Knight takes d5 is natural, and Hirgita plays knight e4. A very natural move. Computer says it's slightly worse, but these are beginners, and I truly like having this knight in the center, controlling very valuable pieces on black side, and because this knight is able to fork, not yet, but perhaps in the future, there has a possibility of hitting the king with check. And so I believe that this space for the knight is very valuable for Hirgita, despite what the computer might say. Hashimoto retreats his bishop that is being hit from the knight back to its starting square, b8. This is an absolute trash move that spends time undeveloping a piece, which is a crucial mistake that many beginners tend to make. Um, and it's this mistake of not valuing tempo or time, especially during the early to middle game stage. By spending a total of 2 moves developing with bishop forward and backwards, practically, he has done nothing in the span of the total of 11-ish moves that has currently elapsed. And so, by basically minimizing his total reach with his pieces, um, it's a very bad mistake that should be avoided at the intermediate levels. Uh, so Harikata, while having this bishop teleported here, practically has all pieces developed and fighting for the center and beyond, while Hajimoto has undeveloped pieces, which is not ideal, and this is why Eval gives positive to whites. It is at this point where Sakayanagi, the main antagonist to Ayanokoji during this arc of the anime, says that, quote, the endgame seems sadly predictable at this rate, which allows for the audience to know her expertise in the game, though I really cannot tell the exact endgame structure, but I'm not Sakayanagi, I suppose, unfortunately. After announcing her, cognitions of the future of this game, which never happens, but whatever, uh, the team captain Sakayanagi begins her 30 minutes of play in place of Hashimoto because like anime or something. I don't know. Sakayanagi, the genius that is propped up to oppose Ayanokoji's genius, plays the horrible move Queen B6. Not horrible, but it loses any advantage that Hashimoto had before, which is kind of mean of her to do, but whatever. I'm not her. Horikita, now against Sakayanagi, plays the suboptimal move bishop takes c6, which trades the phantom bishop, this enemy so far of mine, with the knight on c6. Um, Sometimes a good move to trade this opposite colored bishop with a knight guarding the center squares of your bishop on the long diagonal, but here it is suboptimal. As you can see, eval drops in white's not favor from negative -0.04 to negative -0.102, 1.2, And this is because of this next move, bishop retakes. And now we can see that white has developed, uh, I suppose, her own uh, long diagonal bishop faced directly at the king. And in the future, this will be of dire consequences for Ayana Koji. But right now, Harikata, this is ultimately just a bad move. It trains otherwise passive piece to a now very active piece. And this is something that you should avoid as a beginner. You should try to see these coming consequences of moves. According to the aforementioned move list that will be shown later in the episode, some like silly moves are made, which don't really make sense and were not really shown in the anime, but they are Queen D1, a move that just moves its queen back to starting point, it's a little dance that just happened. We have already discussed that this is usually a bad move if made without a purpose, which it is in this case. Sakai Nagi responds with bishop d6, a move that places its dark squared bishop away from its, starting square to a more developed and active space. We then see knight to e2, we're trying to pressure this knight away from our king, perhaps trying to trade it, make our queen, uh, you know, more active. However, Sakai declines and goes back to d5. However, she actually misses, despite being a super genius or whatever, this tactic, knight h2 check, where if you take, bishop takes, now you have doubled up pawns and no knight, and your knight is pinned, and it's very sad. Um, the king is very open to attack, and it's just not a very pleasant position to be in. Uh, if you don't take, if perhaps king h1, then you have this crazy move, c4, and now suddenly you have like lasers pointing down your, like breathing down your neck, and this is not good. I'd be very scared if I was in this position, and ultimately, there's just like very little you can do to try to survive. It's very ugly to play in. Bishop's blocked, your knight can't go anywhere. This is just nowhere. Just very ugly. Eval's negative 2.6. I think it should be less, just from like a fear factor, like a human factor. Not pretty. Sakai Nagi misses this, plot armor, I guess. And it's here that I'm forced to do a little guesswork in regards to the moves because, again, we're not given a board or a move list for about like 10 moves, so like bear with me. But try to make it work with knight back to g3, just moving it back, why not? Again, don't do this. Try to make it work somehow. I don't know. Not my game. Rook A to D8, centralizing his last rook. Now all of Black's minor pieces have been activated. They're ready to roll. I can make lines anywhere and they probably work. Just very active position, very nice. Queen E2 from Harikta. It seems the queen is just dancing around. And lesson to learn from this is this move is usually a bad idea. Uh, if you put your queen in the line of fire of a rook, or perhaps a bishop if it's diagonal. But just putting in the line of fire of anything, usually a bad idea. There are many tactics that are possible when given this deadly combination, especially with a pawn right inching near this knight, where if it were to move, of course, not very nice. H6 is a move often called a Luft, which is a German word meaning like air or space, as it allows for space for the king to move in the face of like a back rank checkmate, which will be a theme later. Uh, can also prevent the knight pieces from coming to the g5 square. Another important detail later, but don't worry. Speaking of important details, Ayana Koji, Harukita's chess coach, finally takes his 30 minutes to play at the 30-minute mark of her time. Why they can do this, don't ask me, anime, I guess. But now Anakoji moves knight f5, which once again gallops the knight into the center of the board near the king while attacking the black bishop, will increasingly become a powerful piece over the course of the board. If they were to open it up, suddenly the king is compromised, and the knight is here to stop that. Now Sakai Nagi plays e4. Once again opening up the board. Uh, and this pawn is actually a poison pawn. You may think you can capture it. And we all good. However, if this were to happen, knight here, suddenly Sakai Nagi will start winning with this powerful move. Which one is it? Yeah, let's go here, see what happens. So here, queen suddenly has to move. Here, queen suddenly has to move again, and it's just not very pretty. I wanted us to sack the queen earlier, just let's see what happens. If we were to take that, no, yeah, that's bad. It's not cool. On the fly analysis, this is the quality that you get from my channel. Not cool, I'd say. If I were to move here, which is the bad. Okay, cool. Whatever, just bad move. Do not take the pawn. Instead, best move is to move out with the knight, and you have to like dance a little bit. I don't know. Not cool in particular. The move that happened in game was knight f6, which is, oh, okay, it was a bad move. Never mind. Uh, and Koji could take if he was a super genius, but of course, plot armor. And we didn't see this next move, e5. This is a sequence that we see in the anime. When I was looking at this, I was very confused. For the first time, I was like, huh, this is a very strange like sequence of moves. And ultimately it was, eval all over the place. Don't ask me why they included this. Anyone can boot up a computer and test this out. Super genius is fighting, by the way. And queen moves down here as like the last sequence. And so it is here that we once again have to make a skip. But here I was too lazy to make up moves like in the middle of them, so bear with me. Suddenly, in this tense game with Ayano Koji versus Sakai Nagi, we are given this position. Here we have the rooks doubled up, bishops very open, knights, kind of doing their own thing. And this queen wants to get in here. In fact, this is the move that's played by Sakai Nagi, and it's bad. It goes from, mid, I'd say. So here, ideal move is to take this rook. However, in game, Ayano plays this move, which is losing. Not losing. You lose the advantage, any advantage that white had. After queen takes, you cannot take this free rook, as you lose immediately, which is in fact what happened in game. However, not like this, but like this. And suddenly, Ayano is winning. Remember what I said about the back rank? You don't actually lose, but it's kind of scary. And suddenly you can take and take. The rook is not here to mate, and you know, you're winning. You're piece up or whatnot. However, yeah, no, instead of this with practically like a mate, you'd have to sacrifice your queen to stop, but like let's say you didn't, and bam. So whatever. Okay, what happened? Yeah, queen takes f3. Ayano is winning, all because he didn't do this. Don't talk to me about plot or anything. I don't care. I want the chess. This is a bad move. It's hard to go from winning to lost in one move, but bam, super genius. Trust me, guys. He did it. And so, yeah, he just loses here. Forfeits, loses time, both. Uh, you know, I don't make the rules. However, let's say that he was kind of goaded, theoretically. Takes that. He could possibly, this does the same thing, go here. And this is a pretty move. Supposedly, don't quote me. Yeah, he played this. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Because of this move, but also because of this move, defenses, whatever. But this move, now there's no more mates because you can take. And now king is not boxed in anymore. Or I suppose you go like here first, but you can't because of this pawn. All because of the queen here and the Luft, and it all goes back to the Luft. I love the Luft. Um, it's a crazy game seeing the eval, you know. Bam, and then 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 bam, 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 bam. Yeah, crazy game. I wish it was more like accurate to chess, especially in the beginning. That Phantom Bishop, gets to me. This bishop did nothing. I'm sad for all the fianchetto lovers, but you know, it is what it is. Uh, I'd rate the game like 7 out of 10. I'm a fan, somewhat. I don't know. I think chess representation is in media, it's hit or miss. Uh, Here I call it lukewarm. Not much you can say. The game was a game. I suppose I don't need to judge it like too harshly because it's an anime. I don't even think they like play chess in Japan. I don't know. I thought it was like Go or like a shogi. I don't know. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my like little ramble on a anime with one side episode with a game and yada yada. Thank you. It means a lot. My throat is sore. After this, I'm gonna like cough my like guts out. So don't worry about me. First, maybe last video on the channel. I don't know. Feeling kind of devious right now. We'll see how it goes. Thank you for watching, and bye.